I think first and foremost, it's an exciting time to be back at home. First game back in DKR in about a month. And that's exciting for our players. There's nothing like playing at home in front of our home fans, our students, our supporters. That's always a great experience. So we're super pumped for that. We're super pumped for the environment that will be here, Saturday at 2:30. I think from a team perspective, some moving parts naturally this week, having been a little banged up in last week's ball game at different positions, most notably quarterback. And so, as we worked our way through this week, I was really proud of the guys for being focused on what they needed to be focused on. Not a lot of people got caught just watching how's Malik and Arch doing. They were focused on what they needed to do. And some different guys, maybe in a few different roles and some people that were a little bit limited in how they worked throughout the week. And so, I credit our medical staff on that. I credit our players, kind of focus and attention to detail this week in practice. And I think we're in a good, frame of mind and space to go play a really good football team. This BYU team is physical. They're tough. Like I said, on Monday, they've got great schemes. And so they tax you in all three phases that way. And we're going to have to play really well across the board. We're going to have to play really well at the line of scrimmage. I think the ball will be paramount Saturday, our ability to take care of it. They're a turnover machine on defense right now of getting the ball. And then we got to try to find a way to create some turnover. So in the end, it's been a good week of preparation for us on a lot of levels. But we also know it's a heck of a challenge, and we're looking forward to it being back at home.
Thanks, Coach. We'll go ahead and get started with some questions. Chip, go ahead.
Sark, I guess if you could tell us I'll just run through the names. Alfred Collins, Gavin Holmes, Terrence Brooks, Jet Bush, Ryan Watts, Cole Hudson would be in the probable or questionable category.
I don't know what all those words mean. What I do know is that I think all those guys will be available. I think that's probably the best way for us to state it. Sounds like you're reading off all the guys in the training room after the game Saturday, after the Houston game. But like I said, I credit our training staff and their position coaches and those players individually for doing what they needed to do on an individual basis to put themselves in position to be available. Naturally, when Saturday rolls around, a lot of those guys I'm going to be monitoring closely, whether it's in pregame as well as in game, to making sure that they're putting us as a team in the best position to have some success, but also for their own well-being, to make sure that they're in position to play well and play good football. And then the things that we're asking of them to do. But naturally, that's a decent list of guys right there.
Thomas, go ahead.
Coach, good morning.
Good morning.
On Monday, you said, if the game was tomorrow, Malik would start. Is that still the case? And what have you learned about Arch and Malik, this week of practice?
Yeah, that was a great way of phrasing that. Malik's going to start Saturday. I was going to say it in the opening, but I figured let's see how many questions I can get in before somebody kind of confirms it. So anyway, that was kind of fun. Malik's going to start Saturday. What did I learn? That they had the ability to continue to do what they've been doing, and that's prepare really well. I think, again, they've got great rapport with Coach Milwee. I think one thing that I probably learned maybe a little more about, which I felt going in, is that they've got great rapport with their teammates. I think their teammates want these guys to play well, if and or when their number's called. I think naturally all the players know, hey, Malik's making his first career start. We need to play well around him. That's naturally for anybody. There's going to be some excitement in his bones and in his veins to want to go play good. Let's make sure we play well around him. But the rapport that those guys have with their teammates, I think is one that's real. I thought they both had good weeks of preparation. I'd say today, I said a couple of weeks ago that Arch arguably had his best practice since he's been here. I would say today was Malik's best practice since he's been here. And that's a good thing for us, that as the week's gone on, his game has elevated. His understanding of the game plan has elevated. His comfort level of managing all the things we do at the line of scrimmage has elevated, and I think his confidence has elevated because of it. And he had a really good practice today.
Leah, go ahead.
Coach, you mentioned on Monday the kick return game seeing some improvement. I'm wondering, in what areas have you seen that improvement, and what goes into building that?
Well, I think naturally the kick return game, so much of the kick return game, everybody wants to look to the returner first, when in reality, it's how are we blocking for the returner? And I think that Coach Banks has done a good job schematically of putting players in position on that kick return unit to do the things that they do well. And then some of the intricate blocks and things that we're relying on players that have been in the fire and know how to make those adjustments on the move. Then one of the harder things in kick return is you can prep for a lot of things and looks that are out there, but naturally the first time somebody goes and kicks the ball off, their coverage pattern is different. People are in different spots. They kick the ball to a different spot than where they've been kicking it. And so you have to make those adjustments on the fly. But I think that our fundamentals and our techniques have steadily improved in that unit. Our finish on our blocks has improved, and then the timing of the returns has improved. And I think naturally when we can give a guy like Keelan Robinson space, he can create explosive plays for us. So we need to try to continue that trajectory of doing great on the front line with our blocks, having really good timing with our back end and with our returner, and then the trust from Keelan to hit those returns where they're supposed to go.
Kirk, you're up.
Steve, you've always been an aggressive coach. A lot of coaches might turn conservative with a new quarterback. How do you balance that? And are you even considering using both quarterbacks Saturday?
I try to recruit players to come here that fit our system. And I think for us, systematically, I want to run our plays and our schemes of exactly who we are. And if I didn't think those players were capable of doing that at any position, most notably quarterback, then they might not be the right fit for what we do. And so I think both Malik and Arch are great fits for us schematically. Again, everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, and then our job is to try to play to their strengths. So we're going to run our stuff. And again, but tailor some things to what Malik does well. But again, we've got a firm belief in who we are and what we do and why we do. And I think that's why sometimes in training camp and different things, we may have tough days at quarterback. But that's because we put a lot on them and there's a lot of moving parts to what we do. But I have to do that in practice and in training camp and in spring ball so that they can get experience doing what I know we're going to want to do on game day. So that's the first part of that. The second part, we're, like I said, Malik's going to start the game and go play in this game. I haven't made a decision if I want to get Arch in there just to get him in there or not. But we have discussed that some, because I do think there's some valuable experience for him in that, but I have to make sure that that's in the best interest of the team. Right. And I have to make sure that, the team comes first in everything that we do. But I do see the value in something like that. I'm not ready to make that call yet.
Anwar, go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. Hey, you've done this long enough to know that, young quarterbacks have highs and lows. When you have a young quarterback who's out there and making one of his first starts, what's the use the term leash? How long of a leash do you give a young quarterback when he might, have some of those lows, and, kind of walk me through, how you operate, on game day with that?
Well, I mean, naturally, yeah. The perfect world, he finds rhythm, stays hot, and plays a great 4 quarters, and that's the way the game goes. But the reality of it is most football games don't go that way. Quarterbacks, I've yet to find a quarterback that's gone 30 for 30 and 100% and everything's perfect and makes every perfect read. And so what I try to gauge is, is he seeing what he's supposed to be seeing? Are his eyes where they're supposed to be? Can he get fooled on coverages? Of course he can. Can he get fooled on RPOs? Of course he can. But as long as, he can tell me what he saw and why, then I'm okay. Right. And if he does get a little bit out of rhythm, all right, how do I do a good job of trying to get him back into rhythm? Right. And so that could be utilizing the run game. That could be utilizing some advantage throws. That could be moving the pocket. There's a variety of things that we can do there to try to get him back into rhythm if he does get out of it. But inevitably, I don't expect Malik to go out Saturday and just play perfect. That wouldn't be realistic. But what we try to do is put him in the best position to have success. And then navigate our way through the even flow of a football game, which is how every game goes.
Dennis, you're up.
Coach, along the lines of young quarterbacks, do you think that with like today's elite quarterback, with all the specialization, instruction, et cetera, that they might be a little more equipped than, say, guys like back in your day were to step on a stage like this as a freshman or a redshirt freshman and shine?
No,
No.
I really don't. I mean, I think doing a bunch of drills and jumping over bags and running around a ladder doesn't make you more equipped to play in front of 105,000 people. Right. I think that that's somewhat in a DNA of a person, that they've got the right competitive spirit, that they've got the right, focus and mental intensity, that they've got the right self-confidence to perform. And so drill work doesn't help you do that. I think a lot of what helps you is what you're made up of, the team that you're on, and the support you get from your teammates and your coaches. And so that's kind of how I view that. Now different systems maybe can help guys with that or not. But there's been a lot of freshman, sophomore quarterbacks that have played for a lot of years and a lot of decades that have been very successful. I remember when I was in college at BYU, my junior year, they had a quarterback get hurt. It was the second game of the year by the name of Ryan Fiend, and they brought in a true freshman quarterback by the name of Cade McNown on the road in Provo, and he beat us and then went on to have a pretty good career. So, I think it's just part of the DNA, of when guys step in and when they play and what they're made up of and what they're surrounded by and what their scheme is and their coaches to put them in a good position.
Sam Khan, go ahead.
Hey, Steve, I know you talked a lot in your time here about culture and fostering a strong culture in this program. I'm just curious kind of where you feel that is at this point, and how much do you lean on that as you guys head into the stretch run?
Man, I'm fired up about our culture. I couldn't be, if there's one thing on our team right now that I lean into more than anything is our culture. I said it a week ago. I felt like that win at Houston was a culture win. We didn't play our best football. We weren't exactly on point. We had guys get hurt. We blew some coverages. We had some protection breakdowns. All that went on. And in the end, we found a way to win a game because we had really good poise. We stayed together. We had a football team that was pulling for one another and found a way to make plays at critical moments. And I think that's what really good teams have. They've got a great culture. And I've talked a lot about this about Alabama. Coach Saban's 17, 18 years into that culture, right? And that culture has been building and building and building. And now it's repeating itself with the older players, kind of educating the younger players when they come into the program. We finally have players that are in year 3 of our program that have been hearing a consistent message and what's important and why. And now we're able to start that cycle and start that process when new players come into our program. So I love this team because of that. I love this team because of their connectivity, their love for one another. I love the vulnerability of our team and the honesty that we have, that we can have real conversations. But in the end, I know that doesn't seem like that's supposed to add up to, covering a fade route or blocking a power play or making a stop on 4th and 1. But I believe that it does. I believe that it does because it builds confidence and belief in one another. It promotes accountability. It promotes discipline. It promotes commitment. And I think that those are a lot of the things that we ask and require of the players in our program. And when they can instill that in one another, and when they can hold each other accountable to those things, not only on the field, but off the field, then in my opinion, you have something special. And I've said this all along. I think this is a special group. And I think, I think we're pretty talented, and we've got some really good players, and we've got good schemes, but I really believe the reason we're the team that we are today is because of our culture.
Got time for the last few questions in queue. Dandy, start us off.
Steve, considering what he's done in the passing game, how well-rounded has Jonathan's game kind of gotten over the last few weeks?
It's been awesome. I think he's over 800 yards rushing right now. I think he has 18 catches on the year. He's a complete back. I mean, we trust him completely and wholeheartedly in pass protection. He's not cutting people in the hole. He's hitting linebackers in the mouth. He's catching the ball out of the backfield. He's shown the ability to make people miss in the open field. He's shown, the hard yards in the tough short yardage situations. He's shown the explosive, big play ability too, to make people miss, and he's shown speed at the second level. So, Jonathan has, you watch players grow up in your program, and you talk about opportunity and then seizing opportunity, that he's done that. He's seized an opportunity. He had an awesome, opportunity early in his career to learn from two great people and players in Bijan and Roshan. I think he learned a lot of lessons for them about preparation and work ethic, and being a complete back. And when opportunity presented itself to him this year, he seized the moment. And now, like a lot of times in our program over the years, the running back kind of, carries that torch for us, and he embodies what our football team is about. And we're a really versatile football team. We're tough. And in the end, we believe in running the ball. We believe in stopping the run. And that starts with the runner. And that starts in team run when we don't throw a pass and the defense knows we're not going to throw a pass, and you got to line up and you got to run it up in there. And then you got to do it again and again and again. And that's the mentality that we have. And he has the ability to do it. And that sets up all the other things that we like to do. So I'm very proud of Jonathan and what he's done. And I think he's becoming a really good leader on our team. And I watch him not only on the field, but in and around the office of just the way he carries himself. And I think a lot of our younger players, now he's become the role model for those guys. And that's culture, right? Where he learned from two guys, he grew up in it. Now he's become the role model for those younger players to learn from.
Go ahead, Christina.
Hi, Coach. I was just curious if this game means a little more to you just because you're coaching against some of your former teammates in your former program.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, naturally in a week like this, you reminisce now and again. I get some of the bad videos sent to me of myself as a player. I jokingly said I would never have recruited myself after watching the way I play, but some great memories. I will say that we had a heck of a team my senior year, and I had some awesome teammates, and I had some great coaches. Coach Edwards was a tremendous mentor of mine, and instilled a lot of the things we do now into me as a head coach with the players that we have on our team. I think to some of the great wins we had when I was there, but I also think back to the relationships, and naturally my relationship with Kalani is one that I cherish. We definitely, talk and share ideas and thoughts and different things. And this isn't just since my time here. This has been going on here for the last couple decades. So, in the end, sure. But I want to beat them too, and I'm sure they want to beat me too. So that's the way it goes.
Two last ones. Chip, go ahead.
Steve, can you talk about what Ryan Watts means to your defense, and if he might have a calming effect on the secondary?
Well, I think it's helpful with experience, right? Anytime a guy starts an entire season at corner and then, starts the first few games this year and then obviously gets injured, not that the other guys aren't capable. I mean, Ryan is more than capable. So is Manny, and so is Terrence, and those guys are good players. I think A, he provides depth. B, he provides experience. But as we go through this, we're having him back is a big component to the success of our team. He's physical into the boundary. He can take on a lot of those perimeter screens that are issues. He can be physical with the receiver one-on-one. And that can allow us to do some other things coverage wise. So there's a skill set he provides. There's also experience that he provides. And then there's also depth that he provides for the entire room.
Last one, Roger, go ahead.
Stuck. Hey, Sark, defensively, another quarterback that's been around the block a few times with Slovis. I'm assuming all offenses kind of start with the quarterback, but what are the concerns on that side of the ball with BYU?
Well, the timing, right? I mean, he's a guy that they've got good schemes, and he gets the ball out because he's got a lot of experience. He's been around some really good schemes and coaches throughout his career, from USC to Pitt, now to BYU. And then they utilize a lot of different people, right? They've got multiple receivers they throw it to. The tight end is a definite factor. They utilize the running back in the pass game. And so you have to defend everybody. It's not like they're just throwing it to one guy. And then they've got multiple personnel groupings and formations and motions and shifts. And so they tax you that way. And then when he can get his indicator on coverages, he can get the ball out of his hands pretty quickly. And he's got the skill set to make all the throws.